Welcome to a world where raw power meets unforgiving reality. These tractors were built to conquer land, not surrender to it. But time is ruthless. Metal breaks, engines stall, fields fight back. Every start is a gamble, every job is a battle. This isn't just farming, it's survival. And in this world, only the toughest machines earn the right to keep working. These are 10 John Deere tractors that refuse to quit. Let the battle begin. Number 1. John Deere 4020. The John Deere 4020 is often described as the most important tractor the company ever built, and that reputation is not exaggerated. Introduced in the 1960s, the 4020 arrived at a turning point in agriculture, when farms were growing larger and work demands were becoming heavier. Farmers needed more power, more reliability, and better hydraulics than earlier machines could provide. The 4020 delivered all of that in a package that felt indestructible. What made the 4020 special was balance. It was powerful without being unwieldy, advanced without being fragile. Its diesel engine became legendary for starting in cold weather and running thousands of hours without major work. The hydraulic system was revolutionary for its time, allowing farmers to run modern implements with precision. Compared to competitors, it simply felt more refined and more capable. Decades later, thousands of 4020s are still in active service. You will find them pulling wagons, running augers, cutting hay, and doing daily chores on small and mid-sized farms. Many farmers keep one even if they own newer equipment, because it always starts, always runs, and never surprises them. It does not require software updates. It does not lock itself down because of a sensor fault. It just works. Mechanics still praise the 4020 because everything about it makes sense. Parts are widely available. The design is logical. A farmer with basic tools can rebuild major components in a barn. That independence is rare today. Modern tractors often require dealer diagnostics for even minor faults, turning simple problems into expensive downtime. The 4020 represents the opposite philosophy, a machine that belongs to the farmer, not the manufacturer. In many ways, the 4020 defines what people mean when they talk about old John Deere quality. It is not about paint or branding. It is about trust, the kind of trust that lets a farmer climb into the seat before dawn, turn the key, and know the machine will not let him down. That is why, more than half a century later, the 4020 still matters. Number 2. John Deere 4440. If the 4020 was the foundation, the 4440 was the refinement. Released in the late 1970s as part of the Soundguard era, the 4440 brought comfort and power together in a way farmers had never experienced before. It was still unmistakably rugged, but now it came with a cab that protected operators from dust, noise, and weather. For many farmers, the 4440 marked the moment when tractor operations stopped feeling like endurance and started feeling like professionalism. Under the hood, the 4440 carried a turbocharged diesel engine that became famous for its torque and longevity. It could pull heavy tillage equipment all day without complaint. The transmission was strong, predictable, and forgiving. This tractor could work hard in the spring, haul grain in the fall, and still be ready for another season without drama. What keeps the 4440 relevant today is not just its strength, but its adaptability. Farmers still use them for planting, baling, spraying, and hauling. They fit modern implements surprisingly well, and their power range remains ideal for many operations. In developing regions, imported 440s often become the backbone of entire farms, valued for their ability to survive rough fuel, poor maintenance conditions, and extreme climates. The Soundguard cab itself became iconic. It changed expectations across the industry, proving that comfort and durability did not have to be opposites. Even today, operators who grew up in 4440s remember how revolutionary it felt to close a door and escape the dust while still commanding serious horsepower. That emotional connection matters. It is why many farmers refuse to sell theirs, even when upgrading to newer equipment. The 4440 stands at the intersection of old-world toughness and modern usability. It is advanced enough to feel capable today, yet simple enough to be owned outright by the farmer. In an age where tractors increasingly behave like computers on wheels, the 4440 remains refreshingly honest. It still earns respect because it still earns money. Number 3. John Deere 3020. The John Deere 3020 often lives in the shadow of its larger sibling, the 4020. But among farmers who actually worked with one, the 3020 holds a special place. It represented the perfect middle ground, powerful enough to handle serious work, yet compact and agile enough for everyday farm tasks. In many ways, it became the do-everything tractor for mixed farms, dairies and small operations that needed versatility more than brute force. Introduced in the 1960s, the 3020 carried the same design philosophy as the 4020: durability first, simplicity second, and innovation only when it truly helped the farmer. Its diesel engine gained a reputation for longevity that bordered on myth. Stories of 3020s running 15,000 hours with only routine maintenance are common. These tractors became known for starting in cold weather, tolerating questionable fuel, and continuing to work even when neglected. What truly made the 3020 matter was how deeply it integrated into farm life. It was often the first tractor started in the morning and the last one parked at night. It fed cattle, raked hay, pulled planters, hauled wagons, and ran stationary equipment. It was not a specialist. It was a partner. Many farmers still describe it as the tractor that did everything. Even today, the 3020 remains in active service across the world. On smaller farms, it still performs daily chores. In export markets, it is prized for its mechanical honesty. There are no hidden systems, no digital barriers. If something fails, it can be diagnosed with sound, smell, and experience. That kind of mechanical transparency is disappearing from modern equipment. The 3020 matters because it represents a philosophy that modern agriculture is slowly losing. A tractor should be understandable. It should belong fully to the farmer. It should not require permission from a dealer to exist. In that sense, the 3020 is not just an old tractor, it is a reminder of independence. Every time one fires up after decades of service, it proves that longevity is not an accident. It is a choice made by engineers who believed a farm machine should outlive trends, technologies, and even generations. Number 4. John Deere 49555. By the late 1980s, agriculture was changing rapidly. Farms were expanding, implements were growing wider, and downtime was becoming more expensive than ever. The John Deere 4955 emerged during this transition as a bridge between traditional toughness and modern power. It was a tractor built for scale, yet still rooted in mechanical reliability. The 4955 delivered serious horsepower without sacrificing the durability John Deere was known for. Its engine was designed for sustained heavy work, not brief bursts of performance. Farmers could put it on a ripper, a large planter, or a heavy disc and let it work from sunrise to sunset. It was not flashy. It did not promise miracles. It simply delivered torque, day after day. What makes the 410 and 55 still matter today is how well it fits into real-world farming. Many operations continue to use them as primary field tractors. Others keep them as backup machines that never seem to be needed until they are. And when that moment comes, the 410 and 55 almost always starts. It is old enough to avoid many of the electronic vulnerabilities of newer tractors, yet modern enough to handle contemporary implements with confidence. In parts of the world where dealer support is limited or unreliable, the 4955 becomes invaluable. It does not depend on software ecosystems. It does not immobilize itself because of a sensor error. It can be repaired in the field. It tolerates dust, heat, vibration, and imperfect maintenance. In environments where conditions are harsh and margins are thin, that resilience is not just convenient, it is essential. The 4955 stands as evidence that progress does not have to mean fragility. It proves that a tractor can grow more powerful without becoming disposable. For many farmers, it represents the last generation of big John Deere tractors that still felt fully owned. You could buy it, maintain it, and keep it alive for decades without being tethered to a dealership network. That autonomy is increasingly rare, and that is exactly why the 4955 still matters. Number 5. John Deere 7810. The John Deere 7810 occupies a unique position in Deere's history. Introduced in the late 1990s, it arrived just before farming entered the fully digital era. It carried modern refinements, better ergonomics, more efficient hydraulics, and higher power, while still retaining a core of mechanical reliability. Many farmers consider it one of the last truly honest modern tractors. The 7810 became famous for its balance. It had enough horsepower to handle serious field work, yet it was light and nimble enough for daily tasks. It could plant in the spring, mow and bale in the summer, and haul grain in the fall. That flexibility made it indispensable on mixed farms. Owners often describe it as the tractor they would keep if they could only keep one. What truly defines the 7810 is how well it aged. While many tractors from the early electronic era developed reputations for unpredictable failures, the 7810 earned respect for stability. Its systems were advanced, but not overwhelming. It still felt like a machine, not a computer. When something went wrong, it usually made sense. Farmers could understand it. That trust is everything in agriculture, where timing can determine profit or loss. Today, the 7810 is highly sought after in the used market. It commands prices far above what its age would suggest, simply because it has proven itself. Farmers know what it can do. They know how long it can last. They know it will not trap them in a web of proprietary systems. It represents a sweet spot, modern enough to perform efficiently, old enough to remain independent. The 7810 matters because it marks the end of an era. It is a reminder that technology can serve farmers without owning them. It shows that progress does not have to erase durability. Every 7810 still working today stands as quiet resistance against disposability. It tells a story that resonates deeply in modern agriculture. A tractor's true value is not in what it promises, but in how long it keeps its promises. Number 6. John Deere 8400. When the John Deere 8400 arrived, it signaled a new level of ambition in agricultural machinery. This was a tractor built for the era of large-scale farming. Massive fields, wide implements, and operations where every hour of downtime could cost thousands. Yet, unlike many machines that followed, the 8400 managed to combine that scale with an old-school sense of permanence. It felt less like a product and more like an investment meant to last a lifetime. The 8400's power transformed what a single tractor could accomplish. It pulled equipment that once required multiple machines. It reduced labor needs. It compressed planting and harvest windows. For many farms, it became the centerpiece of field operations. But what truly set it apart was not just horsepower, it was endurance. These tractors were built to run long hours under heavy load, season after season, without complaint. Even today, 8400s remain in active service across the world. Some operate on large farms as secondary machines. Others have been exported to regions where reliability is valued above all else. In those environments, the 8400's strength becomes almost mythic. It works in heat, dust, and rough terrain, where newer tractors often struggle. Its systems are complex enough to be capable, yet simple enough to be survivable. Farmers trust the 8400 because it has earned that trust. It does not surprise them. It does not fail silently. It communicates through sound and behavior, not cryptic codes. When problems arise, they are mechanical, understandable, and solvable. That relationship between operator and machine is disappearing in modern equipment, where software often stands between cause and cure. The 8400 matters because it represents scale without surrender. It shows that big farming does not have to mean fragile farming. It is proof that power and permanence can coexist. In a world where tractors increasingly resemble sealed systems, the 8400 remains a machine that feels owned, not leased from the future. Number 7. John Deere 5065E. At first glance, the John Deere 5065E seems out of place among legendary giants. It is not massive. It does not dominate fields with sheer presence. Yet its importance lies in a different truth. Farming is not only about scale. Across the world, millions of farmers operate on small plots, in remote areas, with limited resources. For them, a tractor must be simple, affordable, and absolutely dependable. The 5065E embodies that philosophy. This model became popular because it respected the realities of everyday agriculture. It was designed to be easy to maintain, tolerant of rough conditions, and capable of performing a wide range of tasks, from plowing and seeding to hauling and irrigation work. The 5065E fits into the rhythm of small and medium farms. It is often the only tractor on the property, which means it cannot afford to be temperamental. What makes the 5065E still matter is its global relevance. In developing regions, it becomes a lifeline. It replaces animal labor. It multiplies productivity. It gives farmers control over time and land. Unlike many modern machines, it does not assume perfect fuel, climate-controlled storage, or constant dealer access. It is built to live outdoors, to work in dust, and to survive long gaps between services. Owners value the 5065E because it feels honest. It does not promise luxury. It promises work, It starts, it pulls, it endures. In places where a single breakdown can jeopardize an entire season, that reliability is not a feature, it is survival. The 5065E matters because it proves that John Deere's legacy is not only about large-scale agriculture, it is about empowering farmers everywhere. It carries forward the idea that a tractor should be a tool, not a liability. In its simplicity, it echoes the spirit of the earliest John Deere machines, built to serve, built to last. Number 8. John Deere 6430. The John Deere 6430 occupies a rare middle ground between tradition and transition. Introduced in an era when electronics were becoming unavoidable, it managed to integrate modern efficiency without losing mechanical credibility. For many farmers, it became the perfect all-rounder, powerful enough for field work, refined enough for transport, and reliable enough to be trusted daily. This tractor excelled because it was versatile. It handled loaders, mowers, balers, and planters with equal confidence. It fit into dairy farms, mixed operations, and mid-sized arable fields. The 6430 became the kind of machine that operators grew attached to because it adapted to every role without resistance. What keeps it relevant today is how gracefully it aged. While some early digital tractors earned reputations for unpredictable faults, the 6430 remained stable. Its systems were advanced, but not oppressive. It still behaved like a tractor, not a terminal. Farmers learned its patterns, trusted its responses, and relied on it during critical windows. In the used market, the 6430 remains highly desirable. Its reputation travels faster than advertisements ever could. Farmers know it as a machine that bridges eras, a tractor modern enough to feel efficient, yet old enough to feel free. It does not lock owners into endless dependency. It still allows a degree of independence that modern machines increasingly deny. The 6430 matters because it represents balance. It shows that evolution does not require abandonment of core values. It stands as a reminder that progress in agriculture should serve the farmer, not replace him. Every 6430 still working today carries that message forward, quietly proving that the future of farming does not have to forget the past. Number 9. John Deere 4455. The John Deere 4450 is often called one of the most perfectly balanced tractors ever built. Released in the early 1980s, it came at a moment when farmers wanted more power and comfort, but still demanded mechanical honesty. The 4450 delivered exactly that. It was strong without being oversized, advanced without becoming fragile, and modern without abandoning the values that made Deere trusted in the first place. Powered by a turbocharged diesel engine, the 4450 earned a reputation for relentless torque and extraordinary longevity. It could pull heavy tillage tools, run large balers, handle planters, and still perform daily chores without feeling strained. Many farmers used it as their primary field tractor for decades. Others still rely on it today as the machine that steps in when newer equipment is down. What truly sets the 4450 apart is how right it feels. Operators often describe it as intuitive. The controls make sense. The machine communicates through sound and response, not through warning screens. You know what it is doing. You feel what it needs. That relationship builds trust, and in farming, trust is everything. Thousands of 4450s are still working across North America, Europe, and export markets. Some have exceeded 20,000 hours. Many have never had their engines rebuilt. They survive dust, cold, heat, and neglect with a kind of stubborn dignity. In regions with limited dealer support, the 4450 becomes priceless because it can be understood and repaired without laptops or factory authorization. Farmers keep these tractors not because they are old, but because they are proven. A 4450 does not surprise you. It does not hold your season hostage to a sensor. It starts, it pulls, and it finishes the job. In an era where machines increasingly behave like sealed systems, the 4450 remains a tractor in the purest sense of the word, a tool that belongs entirely to the person who owns it. The 4450 matters because it represents the peak of a philosophy, power with permanence. It proves that a tractor can be advanced and still be free. Everyone still working today stands as evidence that durability is not nostalgia, it is engineering with integrity. Number 10. John Deere 8R Series. The John Deere 8R Series represents the modern face of the brand. Massive power, satellite guidance, data integration, and digital precision. At first glance, it seems far removed from the 4020 or the 3020. Yet the reason the 8R belongs in this story is simple. It carries the burden of legacy. Every 8R is judged against machines that lasted 50 years. The 8R is what happens when John Deere attempts to translate its old promise into a new world. It is built for farms that operate on a global scale. It plants by satellite. It maps soil in real time. It communicates with fleets. It is, in many ways, a command center on wheels. And yet, farmers still expect it to do what a 40-20 did. Start every morning, work all day, and return home without excuses. That expectation did not disappear with technology. It intensified. The 8R matters because it exists under the shadow of everything that came before it. It is not allowed to merely be impressive. It must be dependable. For many operators, the 8R feels like a crossroads. It is powerful beyond anything imagined in the past, but it is also a reminder of what has been lost. Simplicity, independence, mechanical intimacy. Farmers who grew up with 4440s and 7810s often approach the 8R with respect and caution. They admire its capability, but they measure it by a harsher standard. Will it still be working when their children take over? The 8R matters because it defines the future of John Deere. It will determine whether the company's legendary reputation for endurance can survive in a digital age. It is not yet a legend, it is a promise in motion. Whether it becomes another 40-20 or just another generation of equipment will be decided not by marketing, but by time. These machines aren't just old iron, they're living proof that great engineering never expires. They've planted crops, fed families, and carried generations through hard seasons. New tractors may be faster, cleaner, and more advanced, but they haven't earned this kind of loyalty yet. These John Deere legends didn't just shape fields, they shaped farming itself. So tell me in the comments, which of these tractors would you still run on your land today? And if you respect machines that earn their legacy, hit subscribe, because some legends don't fade, they keep working.